Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we've hit the month of May and still no progress on several big issues at the state legislature. We'll have an update with the Arizona Capital Times. We'll hear from a local doctor about a new study that shows a link between red meat and heart disease, and we'll meet the author of a book that takes a different approach to success in education. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The governor continues her push for Medicaid expansion. This, as opponents of the move seem increasingly inclined to push back. Here with in our weekly legislative update with the Arizona Capital Times is Luigi Del Puerto. Luigi, it's always a pleasure, although it seems like the 800-pound gorilla, it's the 8,000-pound gorilla down there. What's the latest with Medicaid expansion?
Well, right now there's still a stalemate. The governor's people and supporters of the expansion plan are pushing hard and trying to convince as many legislators as they can to rally behind the proposal. But the opponents have also dug in, and more specifically in the Senate president had declared that he would not he would do everything in his power to block this proposal from getting to the floor. And so now what you have is a stalemate.
So is support among Republicans at the legislature, is that support faltering?
There is some indication that in the House you may see, or there's a sense that that support is faltering a little bit in the House. However, in the Senate, it's very clear that they have the votes there. There are 13 Democrats in the Senate, and 3 Republican senators have publicly said several times that they are for it. So there's the necessary 16 votes to get it out of the Senate.
Okay, if the votes seem to be there in the House, and although they may be faltering, but they seem to be there, and the votes seem to be there in the Senate, where's the vote? What's holding things up here?
What's holding things up is that I don't think it's been decided what mechanism to use, what path to strike to get this proposal out of the Senate. And when I say that, I mentioned earlier that Senate President Andy Biggs does not want to see this proposal reach the floor. Now, he, as Senate President, has the authority to calendar a third reading or a vote on a bill, and without his consent or authority, you will not see that bill on the floor. Now, there are mechanisms to get around him, and I think that's one of the things being considered. How to do that exactly?
Let's talk about those mechanisms. Let's go from the cleanest to the messiest.
Yeah, I think everything is going to be chaotic and messy anyway, regardless of what they choose. But one mechanism that they can do this one is they can simply offer this as an amendment on the floor during what's called a committee of the whole. Let's say the budget bills are moving and they're ready to debate the budget bills. At that point, any member, Democrat or Republican, can offer the Medicaid expansion proposal as an amendment on the floor to one of the budget bills. At that point, those who support it will just vote yes. Those who are against it will vote no. Now, in the Senate, we know there are the votes to support it. That amendment will pass. At that point, it's just a matter of third reading or voting on the actual bill.
So you can actually, instead of voting on the bill itself, you can vote on an amendment, which is the bill? Is that what you're saying?
Instead of using a standalone measure, a separate Medicaid expansion bill,
yes,
you can take an existing bill and amend it with the Medicaid language. In this particular instance, they can use a budget bill, an existing budget proposal. There are typically 9 to 10 budget bills, and one of them is called the healthcare burb. They can use that as a vehicle and amend the Medicaid expansion language onto it and then get it out of the Senate.
And there's nothing the president can do about that?
Well, there is something the president can do about it. He can, at that point, when they are done with what's called the committee of the whole debate, and he doesn't want that bill to go to the floor, he could simply refuse to calendar it for a third reading vote. Now, of course, he has the authority to stop it from going to the floor. There is also a mechanism to essentially roll him, force a vote on that particular bill at that point.
Okay, that's option number 2, is basically roll him to the extent of, we're voting on this anyway. Viable?
Yeah, that's very viable. I think that's one of the things that's being seriously considered right now. There are other options. For example, there's the nuclear one, which is remove Senate President Andy Biggs as president, install a new president, and voila, you will have the Medicaid expansion proposal out of the state Senate. So
you have separate the whole thing as an amendment. You've got roll the Senate president, just kind of get him out of the way. You've got get rid of the Senate president, really get him out of the way. The common theme here is the Senate president. How serious is he about not allowing this thing to go forward?
I think he has philosophically, he is against Medicaid expansion. And he has his reasons. He doesn't think it's good for the state. He doesn't think fiscally it's a viable option for the country to go into debt to fund this program. And he has declared quite candidly and quite categorically that he would do everything in his power to block this proposal from getting to the floor. Now, he said that 2 weeks ago, and since then, and to a certain extent, that really started this whole conversation rolling about how to get the proposal out of the Senate and maybe even circumventing his authority to get it done.
Okay, so with that in mind, you've got all these things, these options, 1, 2, and 3. What about the option we're hearing more and more about, and that is just send the thing to the voters, refer it to the ballot, we'll all make the tough decision instead of the lawmakers?
Now, obviously, that is an option. I have not heard, there's no indication that the governor is taking that option, that other route seriously. And I think the reason is that whether you get this done as a referral to the ballot or get it out as a bill, as a law, you still run into the same problems that you're running into now, which is the Senate president will probably still not allow such a proposal, or rather such a referral, to get to the ballot, out of the Senate. So you run into the same problems that you're running into now.
So do you also address 3 separate options like you did before? Are those relatively viable there?
Yes. I mean, those same options that I mentioned to get a bill out of the Senate can be used as the same mechanisms to get a ballot referral out of the Senate. Of course, the political cover that a ballot referral provides is that Republicans could say, well, gee, it wasn't a tax increase that we voted on; it was a referral for a tax increase, and so it's not me voting for a tax increase.
We've heard that before with the 1-cent sales tax.
We've heard that before with the 1-cent sales tax.
Before we let you go, with all of this going on or not going on, as the case may be, what's going on? It sounds like the Capitol's turning into crickets. I mean, what's happening down there?
Yeah, on the surface, it's very, very quiet. They're settling into this humdrum sort of a routine. Well, they go in 3 days a week and they pass a handful of bills, and there's a conference committee hearing every now and then. Not a whole lot going on at the surface level. However, behind the scenes is where the real action is taking place. And I can tell you that there are efforts right now to break the stalemate, to get a budget out. If not the Medicaid proposal, at least get a budget out of the Senate. The problem is that the budget really cannot be severed from the Medicaid expansion proposal.
Exactly.
And I don't think that the governor would allow a budget bill to reach her desk without resolving this elephant in the room.
Well, we'll have more on this in the Friday Journalist Roundtable, but Luigi, good to hear from you now. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
A new study shows that a nutrient found in red meat is tied to an increased risk for heart disease. For more on just how far this connection goes is Dr. Nathan Laufer, founder and medical director of the Heart and Vascular Center of Arizona. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Reading a lot about this, let's start by just figuring out what is it L-carnitine?
It's L-carnitine, which is made from an amino acid called lysine, and it's found in significant amounts in red meat, lesser amounts in dairy products. But we've been concerned for many years as cardiologists about excess consumption of red meat. We always thought that it was the cholesterol and the high fat in the red meat that was linked to coronary artery disease, but this new study links carnitine as well.
Okay, take us through how exactly L-carnitine does increase cardiovascular risk.
Well, L-carnitine which is absorbed when red meat is ingested, is then broken down by bacteria in the gut, and that bacteria will then form a substance, which is, the short version of it's called TMAO, and that helps cholesterol land inside the plaque and helps create plaques rather than just flying through the arterial wall and being absorbed by the liver.
Interesting. So the L-carnitine hits your gut hits some bacteria in there, it forms this TMAO thing, and instead of this cholesterol moving through, the cholesterol decides to sit and stay.
It gets sticky and it decides to sit and stay, gets absorbed in the wall, and that's the beginning of atherosclerosis.
Have we always known this? Have we always known? I guess the question is, we're trying to figure out what was making that cholesterol sit and stay.
Well, that's exactly right, and there are numerous risk factors. L-carnitine is one of them, and the big concern with L-carnitine is that it's also used in supplements and weight building and muscle bulking, but there are certainly other risk factors, and the one that we can't do anything about is obviously the genetic risk factor, but the ones that we can and that are reversible are smoking, high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. And these are risk factors, or lack of exercise. These are risk factors that we certainly can do something about. Exercise, for example, will raise the good cholesterol, and good cholesterol takes cholesterol out of the plaque and brings it back to the liver.
Interesting. Okay, real quickly, for those of us who do exercise, you keep thinking you keep telling yourself it's a good thing. You're trying to convince yourself. How is it a good? Does it add more veins? Does it add more arteries? Does it clear out the arteries that are? What exactly does exercise do to help your heart?
Well, that's an excellent question. The first thing that you mentioned is, does exercise clear out the arteries? The answer is no. But it's an excellent preventer of plaque buildup, so that the more exercise you do, the higher the HDL, which is the good cholesterol. It doesn't do that much to lower the bad cholesterol, which is the cholesterol that lands inside the plaque and creates plaque. But by building up the good cholesterol, it can decrease the amount of plaque formation. So that's one thing. The other thing is that people who exercise tend to be more conscious of their health in general and tend to have a more balanced diet.
The idea, though, of the HDL, the good cholesterol, if that stuff is sitting there and staying there, and you start exercising, that stuff still stays there, right?
That stuff still stays there unless you're a monkey. Because studies done in monkeys that were fed high cholesterol diets for 5 years developed atherosclerosis, or cholesterol buildup, or plaque. If then all the cholesterol was taken out of their diet and they were fed basically a vegetarian diet, then 5 years later you could show some regression of this cholesterol buildup. But whether we show regression or not, the fact that we can stabilize the plaque and stop progression is very important.
Let's take a look at, I think you brought along a kind of a poster or something there of what actually is happening in the artery. And it's basically, it really, and again, you could have that artery and you could start running marathons, you'll still have that artery.
Correct, and that was the problem with Jim Fixx, if you remember,
yes,
from about 20, 25 years ago, who believed that exercise was good for you to the exclusion of medication. Now, exercise is good for you, and maybe it prolonged his life somewhat, but it's not to the exclusion of medication. Now, if you look in the middle of this artery, you'll see the beginnings of a plaque that's formed. And if you look to the right of that artery, you'll see a severe atherosclerotic plaque. And so if you can start exercising, modify your diet, and especially start a Mediterranean-type diet, then you may be able to stop the progression. And if you are living with this middle segment of that artery, you can live for many, many years.
Mediterranean-type diet, what are we talking about here? We're not talking linguine, are we?
We're not talking linguine. We're talking about a low-carbohydrate diet. We're talking a diet from southern Italy, for example, which is rich in fish, chicken, fruits, vegetables, and olive oil. There was actually a study that just came out in the New England Journal of Medicine last month that showed that a Mediterranean diet plus a little bit of olive oil or some nuts, such as walnuts, which are high in antioxidants, actually can decrease the cardiovascular mortality by about 30 to 50% compared to just a low-fat diet.
Okay, let's say I have a glass or two of wine, eat grapes. Let's say I do the Mediterranean diet. I douse myself in olive oil. I eat fish. I'm doing all this. I take an aspirin or two or whatever you take. Again, is that artery going to always look like that artery?
that artery will look like the artery that you
you
started with when you started this diet, and you will decrease any further progression. Now, even if you delay progression, let's say you don't decrease progression completely, but you can delay it for 20 or 30 years, as opposed to having it progress in about 1 or 2 or 5 years, you've still done some good.
And we have another, I think we have another graphic here. This is kind of a straight-on view of the artery. And again, this is basically, if you got it, you got it. How do you know you got it? I mean, are there warning signs? We hear so much about these sudden heart attacks and things happening out of the blue. If you have that, how out of the blue is this?
Well, that's another excellent question. First, if you take a look at the yellow, that's the atherosclerotic plaque inside the artery, which is in pink. That little spot that you see in red, that's a clot that is formed inside the plaque. We don't really care that people have plaques. Most people don't care if they have atherosclerosis. They care if they're going to die suddenly of a heart attack.
Yes.
And so is atherosclerosis a predictor of heart attacks, is what you're asking. And that is the $64,000 question.
Interesting.
Because cardiologists are not very good at predicting heart attacks. We're very good at finding atherosclerosis and cholesterol buildup, plaques in the artery, but does that plaque lead to a heart attack? Now, it turns out that if you lower your blood cholesterol, whether you have a 70% or a 20% plaque, you actually have the same risk of having a heart attack. The problem is that the 20% plaque will not show up on a stress test, and if we did an angiogram where we put dye into the artery, we would not do anything if we saw just the 20% plaque. But that patient has the same risk as a patient with a 70, 80, or 90% plaque at having that plaque tear and cause a clot to form. The best predictor is lowering the cholesterol level, because then that plaque, whether it's 80% or 20%, will scar down and be less like Jell-O and less likely to tear and just form a firmer plaque that won't tear. And so that is probably the best predictor of whether you're going to have a heart attack or not, is what your cholesterol level is.
Boy, this is all interesting stuff. Before we go, though, the study with the L-carnitine, once again, what does that tell us? Eat less red meat, eat no red meat? What do we do?
Less red meat.
Less red meat.
Less red meat. Maybe 4 to 8 ounces, less than once a week is probably okay. Because in patients who ate just a little bit of red meat, they had less bacteria in their gut that was less able to metabolize that carnitine and form that TMAO.
Yeah.
So they were less likely to have cholesterol deposit in their plaque.
Wow. Great stuff, Doctor. I'm glad we had you on. Give us a lot to think about. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Byron Garrett is a former head of the PTA and current chairman of the National Family Engagement Alliance. Garrett has written a book titled The ABCs of Life, which provides an alphabet of practical advice for young people. Joining us now is Byron Garrett. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Who is Byron Garrett, and why did he write this book?
So Byron Garrett is this great gentleman from the Southeast who raised both of his nephews from middle school going into high school, actually out here in Phoenix. But my oldest nephew, when I was in college, I would babysit him from time to time, and he would say stuff like, "Uncle Byron, A is for apple." And I knew nothing about education. I was like, that makes no sense. How about A is for attitude? And he'd say, "Oh, yeah, Mama got an attitude." Not quite that kind of attitude. But we started with affirmational thoughts for each letter of the alphabet, went all the way through, and then transferred it into a book. Thought it would be good universal information for every student.
Now, is this, because looking at this book, it seems like it's geared toward young people, maybe not so young people as well.
It is. Well, we're all kids at heart, I like to say. But it was originally written with students in mind, but what I found is it had such universal principle and appeal. So whether you're an adult, whether you're a grandparent, whether you're a child, it really fits the entire cross-generational message.
Why is a book like this necessary?
I think in this day and age, when you look at the challenges young people face, or adults also face as well, but specifically in school, and I chose to partner with Scholastic, and they were great enough to publish it, because the social emotional learning issues that children go through right now, whether it's bullying, other things from a teasing and taunting perspective, they need continued inspiration. They need that type of guidance to keep them moving forward. I was just at Alhambra High School earlier today, and I can tell you, even sitting there with 2 freshman classes, though they know where they want to be, they still need that extra lift, that extra touch to say, you can do amazing things if you choose to.
I'm looking at some of your chapters here. Expect failure, but also expect
That's
success.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
Well, expect failure, because the notion is anyone who knows how to ride a bicycle, they don't know how to ride the bike because they fell off. They know how to ride the bike because they got back on. So at some point in time in their life, they encountered an experience where things didn't work the way they wanted to. Some may say that's failure. But you rise from that particular opportunity and end up being successful.
And that, as well, another chapter for N. Never, never, never say never.
That is so easy, and it's so true. And it's difficult because I think sometimes people hit a wall, and they say, I want to give in, give up, and give out. They suffer from what I call stinking thinking. But the reality is, you can't say never. You've got to continue to stay focused and pursue your dream and your passion almost to the nth degree.
I want to get to one more chapter here, but back to what you were just saying. I can see now people saying, it's easy for Byron. He's got that personality. It could even be your brain chemistry. I mean, some
Right.
people are up and they're positive and they move forward. Other people may be more reflective.
Right.
Other people may be more depressive. How do you deal with different types of folks?
I think the reality is we all come from different situations. I've seen people that have gone from Losing Avenue to Luxury Lane and Luxury Lane to Losing Avenue. So it's not a notion of where you come historically. Your origin does not equal your destination. And we need young people in this day and age in society to really understand and embrace the notion that everything may not work the way you want it to right now, but you've got to continue to persevere and stay determined and focused on what it is you want to accomplish. Success does not happen overnight, but it does happen over time.
How do you get past the ideas some people have that it's all innate, that I'm down because Mom was down and Uncle Fred was down and we're just a down family?
Well, the reality is we have challenges, right? So, and I don't want anyone to think and walk away and say, well, everybody in life who's highly successful did not overcome obstacles or situations and circumstance. We all do. The challenge is, how do I turn my obstacle into an opportunity, or how do I transform this stumbling block into a stepping stone? It's that old adage of, is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? And really looking at it from the perspective of, what can I do today to prepare me for where it is I want to be tomorrow?
Another one of your chapters is learn how to learn.
That's right.
Talk to us about that.
Well, you know, continuous learning, or being a lifelong learner. Growing up as a child, both my parents would say, oh, you don't have any homework tonight? Great, there's a set of encyclopedias. We want you to do a book report on the duck-billed platypus if you can figure out how to spell it, right? So kids may not have access to encyclopedias in the traditional sense, but the notion that you should always be learning, perfecting your craft, improving what it is you know, you should be the expert on any area that you want to enter. And so in this day and age, it helps young people and adults realize that you should continuously be learning and improving to move forward.
Is your life different than it was in the past? And if so, or if not, if it's always been this way, who inspired you?
It is different. You know, I think we live from our experiences. I always tell folks, there are a group of individuals who you will never meet. Franklin and Yvonne Garrett are my parents, but you also never meet Connie Martin, who was my 4th grade teacher, Miss Barbara Twitty, my 6th grade teacher. There are folks who, when I would hit a wall, they were the ones that I still hear their current and consistent encouragement saying, regardless of what someone else says, you have an opportunity to exceed the expectation if you choose to.
That says so much about how important teachers are
Right.
and mentors are to young folks.
Education is critical, and I think adults have a unique role not only in the classroom, but even community-based organizations outside of the classroom to encourage young people and to continue to instill within them a strong work ethic and a belief in themselves that they can rise above the occasion. I've discovered in all of my work across the country and around the globe that people rise or fall to the expectation that you set for them. Now, we've got to continue to say, regardless of your background, your situation, if you want an apology, I'll apologize for where you came from. But the reality is, when you wake up tomorrow morning, there's still a responsibility you have to deliver and to move forward. You don't have to stay stuck in the same situation that you're currently in.
With that in mind, what kind of response are you getting to the ABCs of life?
The response has been great, you know, from adults, grandparents, students, everyone in between, because I believe the message is so simple. The reality is it resonates. Like you talked about a couple of the letters or chapters, and my favorite is X. X. X stands for X-ray your own life.
There you go.
You've got 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, 12 hours to take care of your business, leaves you zero time for anybody else's business. So folks have to X-ray their own life for improvement.
Well, it's good stuff, and you certainly are an encouraging person. The ABCs of life, huh?
That's it.
Good stuff. Good to have you here.
Published by Scholastic. Thank you so much.
There you go, and thanks for joining us. We
Glad to be
appreciate
here.
it. And Thursday on Arizona Horizon, we will talk more about schools and kids as we look at an upcoming education forum, and we'll meet a college professor who left academia to live off the grid. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.